You know, we aren't going to be intimidated by funded Democrats that want to come in and scream and yell. A town hall is information for our constituents. And this is not a political rally, this is not a campaign rally. And town halls are extremely important. I'm glad they got thrown out. That's exactly what I wanted to see happen. And Democrats have protested in violent ways for years. Antifa, BLM, and many more violence against Tesla, firebombing Tesla dealerships, keying Teslas, and we aren't going to tolerate it anymore. We're unapologetic about that.
Congresswoman, why did you choose to take questions the way that you did, submitting them beforehand instead of taking them live for the audience?
Well, it's the way I've always done it. See, you guys haven't been to my town halls before. I've held many town halls throughout the years of being in Congress. And we always have people write down their questions. The problem is it's difficult to read everyone's handwriting. So normally they write down a question and they put them in a fishbowl for me, and I usually have to put on my reading glasses and read them. But it was much easier to have them type out their questions on the form when they signed up for the town hall.
Yeah, thank you. Just wondering, when you saw the response and the fact that the police had to get involved, you didn't move. You were definitely stable up there, but what was your reaction just to seeing that all play out the way it did, especially in front of some of the people who came here to support you and wanted to hear your message?
My reaction is it shouldn't be that way. America overwhelmingly voted in November for President Trump, Republican control of the House and the Senate, and how people should handle their businesses in the voting booth. There's no reason for screaming, yelling, ridiculous, outrageous protesting. That disrupts the entire event for every single person that is there. And one of the most important things I do is offer constituent services. And that was exactly what I wanted to be able to promote and talk about tonight.
From a safety standpoint, you even mentioned the fact that you had to keep this place secret for a little bit. The idea that there are so many people who had to have this increased police presence, does that leave you deterred at all when you know that there are people who are out there with all these thoughts about what they would want to do at one of these rallies?
No, I know, I don't like that. But no, I'm not deterred. My job is a representative of the people that voted, my district. And I have to represent the entire district. And that means I have a job to do. And that job is extremely important. No, I'm not deterred. But I will tell you guys, and this is a story that I think is extremely important, I have the most death threats in Congress. And at times, I have more death threats than even Speaker Johnson. And it shouldn't be that way. And we just saw Governor Shapiro's mansion attacked with arson. It shouldn't be this way for any elected leader, no matter what political party they represent.
Man, could we get your response to, there's been a lot of coverage on stocks buys that you made in the days before and the day of the announcement that these tariffs were being paused. Was there anything that you knew ahead of time? Can you at least respond to the criticism that's been published?
I think that criticism is laughable. President Trump has been talking about tariffs for decades. President Trump announced April 2nd is when he was putting tariffs in place. I have a fiduciary agreement with my portfolio manager. I don't place my buys and sells. That's something that the portfolio manager does for me, and he did a great job. Guess what he did? He bought the dip, and that's what anybody that has any financial sense does when they know the market's going to be going down. That was obvious to everyone, and President Trump had announced tariffs long before. That wasn't anything, that wasn't a secret. Big public information.
Congresswoman Greene, do you think it was a proportionate response to have police tase somebody who was just moving at you from the crowd? They weren't approaching you, they weren't anywhere near you. Just what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, like I said before, this isn't a political rally or a protest. I held a town hall tonight. You know who was out of line? The protesters. There was a place designated outside for the protesters because we support their First Amendment right. So you know who was out of line? The protesters. The police did a great job. I'm very thankful for them. I hope the concern is real, and actually Americans have been tightening their belts for years. And the past 4 years just hit a height that we hadn't seen, inflation at the highest rates that we had not seen for 4 years. And yes, I think this is something the American people understand better than Washington, D.C. I'm just hoping that all of us can get it right in our job in Congress.
You paused the night when you read that question from the parent, talked about fentanyl. when reading that, what was your overall reaction? You could tell it touched you, but can you just speak about that when you meet people who have those sort of stories?
Yeah, that question was something else. It was heartbreaking, and it literally shook me from the inside. I'm a mother. I have 3 children. I mean, all of us that are parents can't imagine being in that woman's position. But it's a story that's been told over and over. And I serve on the Homeland Security Committee. And to me, this isn't a political party issue. It's an American issue. We have a drug crisis in this country. And it's got to be something that all of us care about together. And the drug crisis has come across the border by cartels. And that woman, you know, I was hoping she was sitting there. I don't know if she showed up or not, but I just wanted to hug her because I've heard it too many times. And we just pray it stops. We pray that border security will stop it.
So, not every single resident in your district is a Democrat or Republican. How do you react to people who are unhappy with President Trump's policy when you meet them out in the community?
Well, you know, I'm one Republican that's oftentimes outspoken against my own party. So I can understand people's perspective when they aren't really happy with either party. Let's face it, $36 trillion in debt, you kind of wonder how Americans are happy with anybody, right? But my job is to represent each person in my district and explain to them, here's what the Trump administration is doing, and also show them the results. And that's why I showed economic numbers that have only happened in less than 3 months of President Trump's administration.
Congresswoman, can you talk about the decision to hold this town hall, even as some members of Congress are being advised not to for safety reasons?
Yeah, that's something I've answered a couple of times. So we planned this town hall because this is the newest part of my district. Redistricting had just happened, and in November, Ackworth, which is new to my district because of redistricting, elected me for the first time. And so I always hold in-person town halls throughout the year. So I planned this to be my first town hall because I wanted to come to the city of Ackworth and just introduce myself to them and also get acquainted with everyone.
Considering-
So it'd been planned since January.
Considering how it worked out with 6 to 10 people escorted out, 3 arrests, would you do anything different next time?
You know, we also have to recognize that the majority in the room were standing and cheering when those people were thrown out. And again, it was the protesters who were out of line.
I talked to someone who came out because he is in this part of the district, wanted to hear what you had to say for the first time. He said he didn't feel listened to. Can you respond to that?
Well, I can't respond to that because I didn't talk to him, so I don't understand what his statement is about.
Congresswoman, on the stock issue, can you just confirm, and thanks for taking our questions.
You bet.
Can you just confirm that you didn't have prior knowledge of the pause, President Trump's pause on tariffs, and that you didn't have any conversations with your portfolio manager about that?
Oh yeah, no conversations whatsoever. And President Trump, I think he's done a wonderful job with how he's been handling tariffs. What we did know is he was starting them on April 2nd. That was announced for the whole world to know. And so I think he's doing a great job negotiating for America.
You had, talking about the about you being new to Ackworth. The 3 precincts around Ackworth actually supported your opponent in the November election. Was this a deliberate decision to come to an area where you may not be as wildly supported as maybe elsewhere in the district?
It was a deliberate decision to come to a new part of my district. I've said that from the beginning. We planned it back in January. We've met with city officials today, the mayor. We've met with business owners today. This is just part of my job. And so there was nothing more to it than this is the new part of my district, and I feel like they haven't met me yet, so I should come here first.
Do you think you're swaying them?
I got a lot of support tonight, and I think what has swayed them is the work that we do in Washington.